last and the least, the most.
The Farrakhan generation. The Farrakhan generation.
Why's it? Closing the gap. As long as we moving together, then nothing is holding us back. I cannot factor in none of your feelings. We dealing in actual facts. Just know I know what's exact. Keep it 1,000. If you see the universe stitching his crown, you won't see a cap. Told you we closing the gap. They covered the truth, he opened the lid. I'm going over, they throw like a bridge. You tell a tree by its fruit like a fig. Went from auction blocks to doing the bid. We were chosen so that I get it big. The well is the darkest, as cold as it gets. Truth is the light, and our path will be lit by the love of the leader. No doubts in this wig. Cured our illness, I know that they see it. Ooh.
Closing the Gap Broadcast Network, the Farrakhan generation.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the all-wise, true, and living God, who came to us in the person of Master W. Fard Muhammad, we thank him for coming out of the east unto the west and raising that one from amongst the lost, chosen people of God. The one that I am speaking of is indeed the exalted living Christ, the great most honorable Elijah Muhammad. We thank both the Mahdi, the self-guided one, that Christ, the crusher of the wicked, for extending their mind, mission, will, love, and favor into that third beautiful black man, the one that is indeed the Messiah amongst us. That man that I am speaking of is the most honorable Minister Louis Eugene Farrakhan. And in their holy and righteous names, we greet you from around the country and from even around the world with the greeting words of peace and of paradise of Assalamu alaikum. I am your brother and forever servant, Brother Michael Jamal Hassan Muhammad. And we thank you so much for tuning in to this special interview this week, this Tuesday, on the one and only, exclusively on Closing the Gap Broadcast Network, the Farrakhan generation. And I still miss my Sister Miriam, as I would pass it on to her, but she's here with us and she will return shortly. I pray to Allah for that. But in this moment in time, I would like to present one, but I want to present one properly. Sister Dr. Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. We have a beautiful bio, and it's for a person like this, it's a good bio. It's a bio, but I have something that I will share from it because I don't think she wants me to read the entire thing. Most don't want us to do that. But as you know, she is a multi-million-dollar business and real estate developer. She's a thought leader, my gosh, a crisis manager, an emotional intelligence coach, a trainer, and urban historic how do you say that word? Preservationist. There you go. Our dear sister, and some across the nation may also know, she did something so special for our nation. She preserved awesome history by renovating the home of the great most honorable Elijah Muhammad. It is now known as the Sajdah House. Am I correct, dear sister, on that?
Yes, also known as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House.
It's going to be a museum soon, or in that fashion. Praise be to Allah. Dear Sister Sajdah, would you like to, at this time, say something to the audience before we head right into this beautiful interview? Because I have so much questions that I want to ask of you.
Well, Brother Michael, first off, Assalamu alaikum,
Wa
Bismillah
alaikum
ar-Rahman
salam.
ar-Rahim. Thank you so much for having me on the show, for allowing me to be in front of your illustrious audience and just inviting me. I'm honored. I appreciate it. And I'm excited to share whatever I can share and hopes that it will be an inspiration to you and your audience.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much for the honor. It's absolutely mine. And since the first time I came into awareness of you, I've been eager to ask so much questions of you. You have no idea. And when I saw the title that was chosen, which is the title you have, it's throughout, I guess, how would you say it? Is
My
that a mag?
The brand?
The brand is the mind of an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
I didn't know if that was a magazine cover or not.
It's been that. I was on the cover of Virtue magazine. You know Virtue magazine,
Yes.
Audrey? Yes, that was so much fun.
Oh my gosh. Well, when I saw that title, now I know it's a brand. The mind of an entrepreneur. It brings me to the first question, and I'm hoping that this question will, bring out of this interview, because I know you've been interviewed so many times, and I don't want to replay things that the son of those interviews have drawn out of you. We have to find something else, and I know there is. So I'm hoping this question will dig into the business mind of yourself. When I saw that title, I said, wow, the mind of an entrepreneur. And it brought an equation to my thoughts. I said, the mind, we know, have two sides that we are battling with at this time:
Mm-hmm.
evil and righteousness.
Mm.
And there's many types of entrepreneurs, but some can be an entrepreneur for another purpose.
Yeah.
And we have one in front of us that is obviously an entrepreneur of the God of righteousness. So I said, the mind of an entrepreneur is equal to that of saying the God of an entrepreneur, or the God in an entrepreneur. And I said, let me ask a question like this to our sister. What kind of mind would you say Sister Sajdah, Dr. Wendy Muhammad, has in her that has made you the type of entrepreneur that you are today?
May I give you a little background on that?
Yes.
Right answer? Okay, so the Mind of an Entrepreneur brand was born out of my own personal struggle. Because I grew up, I was considered gifted as a child. I started reading at 4.
Wow.
I had the smart girl stigma. I knew how to clean my desk and put everything in a row, and I knew how to follow the rules. And so when I got into corporate America, um, I was doing well there, but then I started to see where I was making a lot of money for a lot of other people.
Other people, yes.
And be honest with you, was close to, I added it up one day, about $500 million worth of projects that I had either started or businesses I had developed or run for different companies, because I was working as a consultant.
Yes,
So as a
ma'am.
consultant, you're in and out of a lot of different companies on a regular basis.
Yes.
And so when I got ready to try to step out on my own, I was struggling.
Yes, ma'am.
And I had to ask myself a question, and because I was really starting to beat up on myself. I'd see the revenue numbers for the clients that I had, and I said, why is it that I can do this for somebody else, but I'm struggling to do it for myself?
Wow.
When the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us to do for self, and I claim,
come on,
right, that I'm about following his instructions.
Yes.
How come I can't?
Why come I can't? Wow.
And so I had to really dissect it. And I said, I'm competing on a global level technically. And when I sit down at the table, I can see things other people can't see. I can hear
Yes.
what they can't hear. I'm
Yes.
competing, but what's going on? It's
Wow.
my mind.
It's your mind.
And so I started talking about the mind of an entrepreneur, the mindset. And in
Yes.
2009, my father made his transition. And the moment that my mother told me that he had transitioned, something shifted in me.
Wow.
Because my family was very supportive of my endeavors, even as a child, for wanting to be in business. And they never shunned it. They just recognized my gift,
Yes, ma'am.
and my father was extremely, supportive of that. And so I felt a shift, and I started blogging, creating podcasts, and started just talking to people and myself and working.
Wow.
I went back through my study guides and
Wow.
just said, what do I need to tweak in my mind? And what I discovered, Brother Michael,
Wow.
among many things, was some issues with emotional intelligence,
Yes, ma'am.
some issues with my money psychology.
Yes.
But I also noticed that I was a little bit schizophrenic. So my spirituality was over here and my business stuff was over there.
Wow.
And why was I not bringing the business side of me to the table?
Wow.
I was thinking about being spiritual, and why
Yes,
was I
ma'am.
not bringing the spiritual side
Wow.
to the table as a businesswoman? And
Wow.
so I started really working to practice that. I started studying ancient trade routes and ancient traders and how everything was all about combining the two, and thinking about the minister teaching us that business is the activity of life and all of those kind of things. And one day I woke up and I said, I'm going to try it today. Spiritual Wendy, I was Wendy at the time. Spiritual Wendy is going to work with corporate Wendy today.
Wow.
Long story short, I found myself excelling in terms of being able to solve problems and being more certain and just moving differently. And that began to develop and open up a whole different side of my mind. And I just said, I'm just going to unapologetically be myself.
Wow.
Be my authentic self. And if my authentic self is a Muslim, I'm not going to hide that.
Come on.
I just came from a bunch of meetings and I went like this.
Come on.
So that's when things started to take a turn. I wasn't weaponizing my Islam or weaponizing the way I look, because I would see a lot of Muslims that did that in the business setting. They weaponized who they are. I said, no, I'm just going to go and be who I am.
That's right. Wow. Allahu Akbar. What a beautiful response and answer. You brought up that word, emotional intelligence. And I said, I don't know what that word is. So the fullness of it, but I have a meaning here. And what we have here is the capacity to be aware of, control, and express one's emotions, and to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. I said, wow. So is the emotional, how would you say emotional intelligence is necessary for one that has to go through the struggle in this world at this time, during COVID, post-COVID, and they're desirous to be within the teachings or just desirous to do something for themselves? What type of emotional intelligence must one have, or how important is it when going after doing for self in today's reality?
Brother Michael, let me tell you how I backed into it. I'm a very sensitive person. When I grew up, I would just cry over what seemed like nothing, or I would feel everything. And I didn't know what to do with that. I didn't know what to do with how sensitive I was. And I got to the point, by the time I got in high school, I hated that about myself. I hated that I was so sensitive. And I spent the majority of my life fighting against that sensitivity. And so you can imagine then going into the corporate world, thinking that that something was wrong with me because I was sensitive.
Yes.
Just always hated that about, I would just beat myself up about it. And then, so I started with looking at our study guide, Rising Above Emotions into the
Thinking of God.
And then from there, taking emotional intelligence coaches, and then from classes, and then from there becoming certified to be a coach. So what did that mean? That meant that I had to take my sensitivity, which was something that I hated, and transform it into a skill set. So I said, if you just said to yourself, Wendy, that sometimes you can see things people can't see, you can feel, you can get into the granular levels of detail when ain't nobody paying attention. You just notice stuff. That's a gift.
Yes.
And the reason why you're struggling with your mindset is because you're trying to pinch off a big part of just who you are.
Yes.
And trying to be something that you're not.
Wow.
So not only are you being phony, but you're being a polytheist because you are worshiping what these people want you to be so much that you're willing to kill that spiritual aspect of yourself that makes you you.
Teach. Wow.
And so when I started to study emotional intelligence, it helped me to understand what these emotions mean.
Yes.
That they're a compass. It doesn't mean, some people think emotional intelligence means you just don't have emotions.
Yes.
Just control them. No, you have them and you let them flow. And for me, I can't do anything about it. I'm just a sensitive person like that. But then I started to learn, what does that mean? Oh, that means pay attention to this. It has come in real handy when I'm working as a business developer.
Yes.
I'm paying attention.
Yes.
To deep details. I'm paying attention to how certain things trigger reactions inside of my body. And so I'm not owned by the emotions, but the emotions are my compass. They tell me, do you need to go this way? Do you need to turn that way? Stay straight on course or whatever. But that's where the majority of learning to submit comes from.
Yes, ma'am.
Is being aware and recognizing what I'm feeling and where I am, and then knowing whether or not that's a law or just me making up something in my
Ooh. I did not know how this was going to be, but this is a scientist kind of conversation. And as you were speaking, I am in love with words. And that's why when I looked at that word, it's only because I was slightly flustered trying to get in. I looked at the word preservationist and I'm like, what is the word? But I love words. I love the meanings behind them because they're so mathematical when we understand how to use them. And I love names.
Yeah.
I love names. I look up names and I looked up your name. And it's so beautiful because it is relative to who you are and what you have done for our nation. Yeah. Sajdah. What is Sajdah? First is in the Quran. And it means prostration. In other ways, it means adoration. What is adoration? Deep love. Deep love. And you said, I'm sensitive. I had to change that and realize it was not a curse, but it was a gift. And Sajdah, and to have deep love means someone has to go into themselves and pull out something or have a certain emotion rooted in God for a thing or someone. Wendy means a friend. And in other ways, it means one that travels in the footsteps of the Lord.
Yeah.
I said, whoa. And then obviously Muhammad is one who is worthy of praise and to be praised much. So in your going after that project, the Elijah Muhammad's house, you was walking in your name.
Yes.
You had deep love, and I just wanted to ask you. I know it has been disclosed before, but on this platform, what was the moment of Sajda deep love that made you go after that project for a man that is the greatest friend to us all? That when you would complete such a project, it would make you absolutely a Muhammad.
It's all in a name, brother Michael. So when I went after the project, I was Wendy Muhammad, and Wendy meaning
Yes.
walking in the footsteps of God. But I didn't know I was walking in the footsteps of God.
Come on, Sister Sajda.
I just thought I was a struggling believer like the rest of us. I didn't know that. And it wasn't until later, being blessed with to have conversations with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that he helped me to see that this was something that Allah had been preparing me for my entire life.
Oh my God.
When I first got the house, my mother said something so powerful to me. She said, "Now I understand why I was chosen to be your mother." And it just broke me down.
Wow.
It humbled me, because here we are thinking, we think we're picking what we're going to wear. We think we're choosing a school to go to. We think we're choosing to come in the nation. We think we're choosing to take this job or choosing to hold this post. But Allah knows exactly what he's doing, and he already wrote the history. We're just walking into it. That's why it's important for us to calm down.
Yes.
And walk on into it. And so that moment of Sajda, there were several moments, but once I acquired the house, and I'll tell you about the name, the house was in such bad condition, and you probably have heard this before, with raccoons. We thought the floor was dirty, but it really was raccoon feces, and it was a mess. And so I was afraid to put the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's name on it.
Wow.
And I told you that I had struggled with my sensitivity.
Yes.
And the house gave me an excuse for the love that I've always had.
Wow.
And so when people would ask me, well, why would you do this? You must be related, or you must be why wouldn't you just go chill in the Bahamas or Africa or somewhere with your money? Why are you doing this? But I was finally able to release this love.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I just released it all over the project, and I called it Sajdah House because that was why I did it. It really was the love and the adoration and just the need to release that love that I had been holding in and trying to figure out what to do with it. Yes. And I know that there's many of us as believers that are like that. And when I asked the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan if he was okay with the name Sajdah House.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I was still trying to figure out how we're going to do this. How can we put his name on it? So we'll call the project Sajdah House. He came back a couple of weeks later and said to me that Sajdah was the right name for me and the right name for the house, for the project.
Oh my gosh.
And then we started the process of getting the house added to the National Historic Registry. And once we put the plan together, I started feeling comfortable that we could put his name on it. And when the letter came back approving us for the National Historic Registry, and it said the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House on the top, 4847 South Woodlawn, I said, okay, we can do it. Not that we needed them to give that approval, but I wanted a plan in place.
That's right. That's right.
I didn't want to, because what was new for me, I guess it's like having a child, right? I don't have any children. So people say when they have a child, they just pour all this love that they've been holding inside of themselves in the child. And for me, this love that was there that had been backed up. Like I can feel it now. It became like a magnet, and I just poured it into the house. So that's the love. When I started out, Brother Michael,
Yes.
shortly after college, working in the National Secretary's house, office. This is in the 90s, and working closely with the minister's office and the palace. And
Yes.
at that time, times were different. The minister was a lot younger, so he was moving around a lot. We
Yes.
saw him more
Yes.
in the course of day-to-day activities. Probably interacted with him a little more, just in an active kind of way.
Wow.
And when I left to go pursue my corporate degree, I had a void in my heart, because I missed him.
Yes.
And I missed the believers, because what Allah did was, when I made that decision, he swooped me up and started literally moving me around the country and then around the world.
Wow.
And I was struck with feeling like a spoiled brat, like I want to come back home but how do I can't be mad at Allah giving me these opportunities. So
Come on.
I had to balance that. And the way I balanced it was the love that I have for the minister. I would think about how I felt in my heart when I saw him, or when I interacted with him. Like, what does my heart feel like?
Wow.
When I see him. And
Wow.
so I would conjure up that, I call it my Jesus within. Right. And so I would conjure that up, and in conjuring that up, I would place it in my heart. So as I move around, if I'm getting on a plane, wherever, he's there, he's with me, it's in my heart.
Yes.
And that love just grew, and I think it changed. And so it just kept building. So when it came time to do this project, I was ready. I thought that was something that I was doing.
Come on.
But again, that's Allah. We
That
plan
was Allah.
plans, and he is the best of planners. He knows what he's doing. So when we get sensitive and start paying attention to those little mustard seeds of details, regular levels of detail, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Start paying attention to that, we can see how he's just guiding our steps every single way.
Oh my gosh.
Preparing that table before us, and all we got to do is walk into it and sit down.
Teach. Wow. Ooh, I'm trying to hold it back, because that was this is good. I thank Allah for this interview. I'm so honored and thankful to you, sister, for what you did for us of my generation who grew up in the nation. We wouldn't have been able to know what it looked like on the inside.
I know. And Brother Michael, there's so many believers who say, I didn't even know he lived there.
Oh.
And it's no shade. It's just that we have so much information, and it's so much to do. It's just a way to add on to what it is that we are doing in our mission, and to anchor us to something, because some people just said they didn't know. Some people who have come inside the house have said, I've never felt him before, but I felt him today.
There's part of my next question on the other side. You jumped right into it. Oh my gosh. Well, dear family, we are already at the halfway point, and this is moving so quick. But before we go into the donations for the Closing the Gap, let's give honor to the sister. Let's donate to this sister, SajdahHouseDonations.com, or Cash App, $MOE today. To order the commemorative Elijah coin, go to SajdahHouse.com. And then please continue to support this network, as we are trying our best to give you information from such stars of God. Please donate to Closing the Gap Closing the Gap broadcast via PayPal, JKingdom1 at AOL.com. You can Cash App as well to $CTG broadcast. You can also make those donations payable to CTG Broadcast, P.O. Box 531, Ruskin, Florida 33575. And family, continue to post your comments of appreciation and gratitude and any questions that you may have, and we will surely bring them into view on the other side of the break. Thank you.
There is a need in our community for a universal change. And it has to start with the man. Being a man of God means being a man possessed of the knowledge, the spirit, and the power of God, anointed to do his will. To build a people, you first must make man. Every man, no matter what his color, no matter what his race, every man, in order to be a man, must be a man of God, or he's not a man at all. Let us make man.
That's, y'all.
Yes. Isn't it powerful? It gets you all the time.
I was over here holding it back. I said, I'm not going to do it.
Oh
I'm
my
not going to do it.
Every time it comes on, I feel it. It's like it just has not gotten old. And we almost 2 years come October, and it still is the same as it was for me, and the feeling as it was 2 years ago. But now I have this question for you, because you said something so profound. The believers, as they walk in, they said they never felt Elijah like that. They can feel him, his presence. Great, most honorable Elijah Muhammad, we were taught, and it was told from some stories, that he handled business from the comfort of his own home. Sometimes, all over the world, he's sitting in his home, and he was able to handle the affairs business-wise and make decisions on a world level from the comfort of his home. When you went up into that, what was the remnants of something great, like a pyramid, and found yourself bringing it back to its shine, back to its life, walking up the stairs that he walked up, walking around the rooms that he walked in. The mind of an entrepreneur, knowing that the kind of entrepreneur you are and have become is all due to the teachings of that man. What did you receive, if you did, and I'm sure you did, from him that enhanced you in your business thoughts and minds when you were bringing this home back to life? You resurrected it, as we are taught to resurrect our people. What was that like for you?
Let me see how to say this. So I'm already at risk of sounding like, okay. So just trying to allow him to make me up into himself.
That's right.
So really just trying to listen.
Oh, man.
Listen, pay attention. Not allow, if that's in not an egoic way, but just flow into him and trust.
Yes.
Trust.
Yes.
And
This is beautiful, man.
he's there.
He's
He's,
there.
yeah, he's there. This is his project.
Hmm.
It's not mine.
I felt that. And I know you're holding back more. And I understand why. I understand. You know, I'm going to go there with you because this is a platform that has to close the gap. And I don't interview like everybody else. I interview like I do. And in my interviews, I love to go in to the person, kind of like how our Minister Jabril, he called it on the Closing the Gap interviews. We can ask questions about the business in the superficial way, but there is something deeper about Sister Sajdah, about Sister Wendy,
So
about the names you have been given and have been given. Oh boy.
let me say
That
something about
verifies the time.
let me say something about that, because
Come on.
my mother was very intentional about Wendy.
Yes.
And then obviously the minister's intention about Sajda. And it was my brother, Imam Sultan Rahman, who suggested that I use both. And I don't know if he had looked up Wendy or if that just came to him, or he just connected with his sister. I don't know, but
Love it.
he talked to me. He said, well, Wendy is branded, but he really gave me some beautiful spiritual words in terms of how they both had Islam in them. And because I was phasing like one out, if that makes sense, like
Yes.
this is it. And so, of course, then in business, you got your legal stuff that's in one name, and then you figuring out how to transition, and it just stuck. It just being that way, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad, it just stuck. So obviously most people, especially in the mosque, they call me Sister Sajdah, which is what I prefer.
Okay.
But in the business world, people know me as Wendy, and some will say both, but I don't beat them over the head if they still say Wendy.
Yes, ma'am.
Because of what it means.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. In this project that you did and is still underway, I'm correct, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you want or desire generations down the road to see? What are you painting? And I'm really asking it in a real intentional way. What is Sister Sajdah painting right now for generations to see in this project?
Brother Michael, what they see will be small, inshallah, compared to what they come away feeling. And so the idea is to give people an experience, the Elijah Muhammad experience.
Yes.
So they will see that first floor that looks the way it looked in the 60s. They'll see the second floor with the exhibit rooms. They will see exquisite renovation and restoration, inshallah. But what's most important to me is what they feel.
Yes.
Because what they feel can influence how they move. What they feel can help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to establish Islam in the land. It can raise people and resurrect people and help them to think on a different level, see things differently. It's what you feel that plants that seed that you don't even know it's there until years from now. So you'll see it. You'll be able to log in and you'll see some stuff. And that's powerful, right? The site is powerful, and the artistry and the majesty of it.
Yes.
But the idea is all of that painting, all of that artistry, all of that magic will help them to feel what I feel. Because it's the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan who, because of my love for him,
Yes.
I don't want to say it like that because it's not even my doing, but he then transferred, just like he's done for so many of us, his love for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which is so great, so much so, Brother Michael, that he's him.
Yes.
Listen, you just see it.
Yes.
He's all up in him.
Yes.
And so that transference is what we hope, inshallah, to keep going.
Wow.
I'm talking goosebumps and hairs on the side.
Come on, I'm already got them. And I'm going to tell you why I got them. Is because as you're talking in the humility, the beauty of the humbleness of yourself, it's bearing witness to what has happened on us. By that man, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the way we say what has happened on him. By that man, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'm hearing Farrakhan come out of you.
Oh.
I see Farrakhan in you. You couldn't have done what you have done if you was just woman. Well, Elijah Muhammad already called us what we were. It's our nature. The other things are titles, apostle, disciple, those are roles. But God is the nature of us, no different than the lion could be changed from a lion to a dog, whether it's in the cage, whether it's in the wild, or whether it's rolling on a ball at a zoo or circus, still a lion. I'm looking at a God in front of us. Crazy. We have one, and that's what she did. That's what you did. And I just wanted to go there for you because the name Muhammad is ours. We were given that name. So when praise comes, it has to come from one another so we can show that man before he departs, we love one another like he has loved us.
Yeah.
That's all. But
no, that's so beautiful because, and it's an honor and it's very humbling. And I just had a touch of emotions there because even when I saw the flyer and my face was on the same face as him, I'm just so careful when I think about representing him and making sure is it on brand? Does this look right? All of that. Yes. And so to have someone to say that they see him in us is the ultimate honor.
Yes.
Ultimate honor.
Praises is due to Allah. Well, Sister Sajdah, I have another question. As you see an entrepreneur, I know one thing about those who are passionate in that realm of existing, they can do a lot of things at one time. Their nature is gifted in being a spiritual and moral and personal octopus. They can just do things. They got many hands that are in many different areas, spiritual on this side and personal on this side, right? So I can only imagine that this project is not the only one, and I can only imagine that it's not the last one. There's many other things that I can almost see that you are looking at in your thought of after this one. Now, I don't know if there's anything that can be said or not said, but is there a mission behind what you're doing? Rather, not just there's just this particular Sajdah house and other things that you're doing on the real estate. Is there a bigger mission by which you're trying to achieve in this being one who is a masterful entrepreneur?
Well, I won't tell the details, but I will say this, that this project is a world, and it has opened up so much in me, including the mission of urban historic preservation
Wow.
and preserving real estate that is important to our underserved community in urban areas.
Yes.
There's that piece of it. And then there's the other, being able to marry that with the piece about doing for self, and us doing for self and thinking for ourselves,
Yes.
owning ourselves,
Yes.
being able to really move forward and push that mission, and just showing us how to do that, how best to do that, and really helping to support. Those are just two of the missions that have come really strongly out of this project.
Yes, ma'am. Well, one of your great missions that you're doing right now, for me, as a young man born in this nation, don't know nothing else outside of what I wanted to intrigue myself with, is that when I saw what you were doing, I said, wow. It was almost like a big hug
Mm,
coming from your mind, just on a personal note, to me, to
yes.
my family, because it was a real piece of history that I knew existed, but didn't even realize that it was not ours.
But you know what, Brother Michael? You captured that beautifully, because it is a big hug.
Wow.
Because I think about the believers all the time. I think
Yes.
about the believers, and this is hard. This
Mm.
struggle to be a Muslim, to live a certain life in the midst of this world that we're living in,
Yes, ma'am.
this ain't no joke.
Come on.
And so when I see, I taught orientation class, MGT and GCC orientation class for years. And when I would see people with that struggle in their face, and then I see the light bulb turned on, I would just live for that. And so
Wow.
I think about us as believers all the time. I think about somebody like yourself growing up in our nation, and then going, okay, I have all of this. Now what do I do with my life? I'm ready.
Yes.
And so it is a big hug.
Wow.
It's a hug that says, listen, keep
Thank you.
going.
Yes.
The table has been prepared for you. Keep putting one step in front of the other.
Thank
And
you.
Allah will never forsake us. And he's not going to let us down.
Wow.
The messenger did not lie. He is not a liar.
Come
The
on.
minister does not lie. He is not a liar. So keep going.
Keep
We're
going.
going to be the winner
Yes.
sooner than later.
Ooh. Allahu Akbar.
Sooner than later.
Yes.
And so just keep going. It is a big hug. That's
Wow.
exactly what it is.
Wow.
So
That's what I felt. I couldn't even lie.
Go crazy by myself, but that's
No, not at all. I'm just as sensitive as you. But the word
so
sensitive is such a beautiful word.
hug.
Yes.
And the one thing that, when I was debating on whether or not I was going to get the house, my business partner at the time, I think one of the things that pushed me over the edge, he said, if you don't get it, then y'all going to be driving down the street, pointing at that house saying, he said, with some little white kids in the yard on a swing set, and y'all going to be saying, the messenger used to live there. And I thought about all the believers who have given their lives,
yes, ma'am,
for Islam, who
yes,
are no longer here, but even those who are still here.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know we've been through a lot, not a lot compared to what some of our very first believers and pioneers have been through.
Yes.
The challenges, that fire and that grinding that you get to make you into that perfect patty.
Come on. That's right, sister.
That's hurt, Brother Michael.
Come on. You're right. It is the truth.
So we just need some love.
Yes, we do.
Just love me while I'm going through this thing.
That's right.
And that's what I want to share with others. It's just it's a big hug. It's like, let me love you while you're in this process
Oh my
of
goodness.
elevation.
Yes, yes.
And I just pray that that energy is spread to us, because sometimes we get so busy
Yes, ma'am.
and we got to evaluate and we got to diagnose each other. That's the new thing in the world now. We got to diagnose, and this
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Sometimes it's just good old fashioned love.
Good old fashioned love.
It's just
Wow.
good old fashioned love that can turn somebody's world around.
Yes, indeed. You gave us as believers another place to look at when we come to Chicago.
Yes.
This is something. Wow. I'm so glad that what I felt is what I knew what was coming to me.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
really was. And wow, my gosh, we're almost at the end. Okay. Then I have this question. I have to, because my questions always come from inside. I don't use notes. I like to engage with the interviewee because I don't know you like God knows you, and I don't know the people that He wants you to touch like He does. So it's best that I just relieve myself and have Him do the work
Hmm.
and have us do the work, right? So He's talked about struggle and knowing that we are taught, and it says in scriptures, let this mind be ye in you, the same that is in Christ, the Jesus. Oh man. Well, we know that that's really saying, let this mind be in you, the same that is in the great, most honorable Elijah Muhammad, or the most honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, right? Or we can take it all the way back to the Genesis, Master Fard Muhammad.
Mm-hmm.
What was the greatest struggle that you came into while doing this project? Whether it be how it affected you in the sensitive realm, the spiritual realm, the physical realm. What was the greatest struggle that you overcame that made you know your mind was being worked on?
Let me tell you the biggest struggle, Brother Michael. I'm assuming that you're married and
Yes,
you're in love.
I
And
am.
when you're in love, you can't see nothing but that.
Oh man, that's
Love puts those blinders on. And
yes.
so the biggest thing that I had to learn is that I was in a bubble and I thought everybody loved just like I did.
Ooh, I had to learn the hard way too.
And so in seeing that, the challenge then is how I knew Allah was making me over is not to judge,
Come on.
because I can't judge you for where you are and
That's
how
right.
you're processing what you've been through.
Yes.
And I can't judge under the assumption that my love is better or more,
Ooh, Lord.
right?
That's
And
right.
so I have to just realize, let me be my authentic self.
Come on.
And maybe I will inspire you to be your authentic self.
Hmm.
Both showed up on the planet for a reason.
That's right.
Allah has something He wanted to express when He came here in this flesh form that my mother called Wendy and the minister later called Sajdah and
Come
your
on.
called Michael, Jamal, Hassan. Allah said, I got something to say.
Yes.
And what I'm going to say is going to look like this.
Oh my gosh.
And so the
Ooh.
challenge is to not judge that.
That's right.
Got to be where they are now. And then I decide
Yes,
what
right.
distance they can be, where
Ooh.
they are, but everybody. So the challenge is not to judge.
That's right.
Because just because you and I are in a bubble, don't mean that everybody else is in a bubble.
That's right.
And it don't mean that they need to be in a bubble.
That's
It
right.
don't mean that we are right.
That's right.
All it means is that we are on a course. It's a journey that will never get done.
Mm.
We'll never do enough to be deserving of what Allah has given us.
Yes.
We'll never absorb all the infinite wisdom and love and words that he has
Wow, Sister
until
Sajdah.
we go back to him, and then we just dissipate up into him.
Mm.
So we gotta back up off of learn to back up off that judgment a little bit.
Yes, ma'am.
Back up off of taking things personally
Yes, ma'am.
and allow people around you to be who they are, where they are, and use what you call your love
Oh, Lord.
to encourage them
Come on.
to do more and to be better. So I knew then, I said, oh, okay, I see you doing something a lot.
Oh, my gosh. Sister Sajdah. You described in your desire for the environment around you what the meaning of love was when it was given to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He said, what is the meaning of love? And we know the story. The minister looked at the definition and, it means freedom, justice, and equality. And you just described why it was destiny for deep love to be tied to a friend.
Yes, Brother Michael, because freedom, because I want you to have a safe space with me
Yes.
and other people who you are around. You need that safe space so that you have the courage to go on and be the God that you are.
Come on, sister.
So I can't give you that safe space if I'm tripping up in here about you and where you are.
Yes.
I can't, is that Allah's way? No, I gotta give you a safe space.
Yes.
And so, inshallah, Sajdah House is a microcosm of that safe space.
Oh, Allahu Akbar. It is. And I haven't been able to get there yet, but my brother-in-law has been there.
Yeah.
His name, you know him. He's Brother Kyrie. And
Oh.
Yeah, that's my brother-in-law.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm so honored for this. And I have one question that I usually ask at the very end to all the interviewees since we've been on this show.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll ask it the same to you. I know you've been with the minister face to face before, but if you could do it again, right? And this time, this is such a private and safe space where there's no one around, just you, him, no staff, no security personnel, just a safe space of you and your Messiah. What would you want to say to him, understanding that his departure is coming, that would provide him comfort of your activity of love while he is gone?
That's an interesting question, because one of the things that I pray for is that whatever I do gives him comfort. It's one of my biggest prayers, that he would be proud and that he would be comfortable. But you know what, Brother Michael? If somebody said you're about to sit with the minister, I would just want to sit there.
Yes.
Because I get so much just from connecting with him. I'm so stupid on the phone with him because I don't even hardly say nothing.
Oh my gosh.
I don't have questions written down, but I don't need to even say the questions. Because he just reads and reaches, he just reaches right in there and snatches out whatever insecurities or demons or whatever's in there.
Wow.
And at the end, he just decides to get off the phone, and it's like, guess I didn't really need to ask.
Oh my gosh.
So I would just sit there.
Just sit there. I love that.
Because that Brother Michael,
Yes, ma'am.
when he's no longer in our presence,
Yes.
is what we have to learn to do.
Sit there.
Sit there and allow him to deposit into us
Teach.
so that we can move out in the manner that he desires and that he needs.
Oh my gosh.
So instead of reducing everything to what we want to know
Yes.
and trying to control and direct the conversation, just sit there.
Lord have mercy.
That's my answer to that question.
That is such a
If you
beautiful.
told me I had an hour, I just sit there. If he chose to say whatever and ask me questions or wanted me to respond to something, I
Oh
would.
my gosh.
But I would sit there and just shut my mouth.
Oh my gosh. Sister
And just
Sajdah,
feel
that
him.
is a beautiful.
Can you feel him now?
I do. I absolutely do.
You just feel him. And in that feeling are instructions. I feel him right now. And he's instructing every cell of our body, Brother Michael. He's instructing us. He's guiding us. He's molding our minds. He's healing us. He's saving us.
Yes,
he's
he is.
correcting us. Just feel him.
Yes, he is.
He's here. I feel him.
Yes, he
right
is.
now.
Oh man.
I'm sorry.
Oh Lord. I needed that.
No, just he's with you. No matter what we're going through. I don't care if your credit is bad. Do some good stuff and get credit with God and he'll fix it. I don't care if you're struggling.
Yes,
in a
ma'am.
relationship with your business or just feeling insecure. Just
Yes, ma'am.
feel him. He will heal you.
Yes, he will, and he is.
Right here, right now.
What in the world? Sister Sajdah, that was awesome. Thank you so much for being your name right now.
Thank
all
you.
this time, because I felt deep love just reach through the screen and it grabbed me up, and I felt that man out of you.
That's him.
I thank you so much for that response, because I've never heard a response quite like that. Sit there and just listen to the sound of him breathing is a word.
Listen to how his presence makes you vibrate. Listen, because that's what you want to become familiar with. So when you get in situations, you can either put yourself in that state before you move, or you'll recognize that state as a compass that points you in the right direction.
That's right.
He's right here. Just call him up.
Oh my gosh. You don't know how relevant this is to me right now. I'm going through something, and those words hit so well in relative to him. Thank you so much, Sister Sajdah.
Yes, sir.
Well, family, she got me on here crying, but I needed it. And I'm so thankful, because see, we close in gaps here, and she closed not a gap in my heart, but she answered a space. She provided me with a puzzle piece just now that has now provided more of a picture that I can see. And I'm now more anxious to continue playing with this long puzzle with the tiny pieces that you sometimes it takes days to finish. You just don't want no one to interfere with what you're doing, because the progress, it's so valuable to you and me. So I thank you again, Sister Sajdah. And please, family, this is a star of God right here, right now. And you must donate to this project and any projects that she has.
Oh, praise be to Allah.
Ever coming. Go to Sajdah House donations.com. Cash App $MOE today. and get you a coin today by going to that beautiful website, Sajdah House, for your beautiful Elijah Muhammad coin. Ain't no coin on the planet got the Christ on it.
So
But
the
we have
Michael, let's
one.
change the world. I see that right over your shoulder. Let's change the world. And
Yes.
how we're going to change the world is through that feeling that we just shared, where we united in Christ.
That's right, Sister Sajdah. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu
And family, also continue to support this network.
Yes.
I love Minister James so much for giving me 2 years of service on this to be able to just be here and allowing me to serve from here. It's been the greatest gift thus far to me outside of my wife and children in this nation. Please continue to donate to Closing the Gap broadcast via PayPal, JKingdom1, thank you, Brother Romel, at AOL.com. You can also Cash App $CTG broadcast, and you can also make those donations payable via mail to CTG Broadcast, P.O. Box 531, Ruskin, Florida, 33575. And next week, we have the National Youth Committee coming here on. That's going to be awesome. They'll be here. And inshallah, we'll have some others on the other going as we go into October. But please, when you see someone like this sharing the depths of love with us that was literally real, this is not about money. This is about what needs to be done in the time. We have to not support each other like a table without a leg. This is not that kind of thing we need to do. We need to work with each other. So our sister has a project, and it needs our working hands, our money, so that it can continue to completion without any interference. And I pray that Allah, and I know He will, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, overwhelm you, Sister Sajdah, with great success in all things that you do, because whatever your hands touch as one understanding the mind of an entrepreneur, your many hands will all be a gentle love and touch from that man, the God in our midst. Thank you again. Love you, family, so much. I'm going to go wipe my face on the other side. Tune in next week and all through the week. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Oh, my.